The story starts in a magical realm where 9 races share the same world: elves, demon kin, dark elves, dwarves, beast folk, oni folk, centaurs, dragonutes, and finally humans, and one of whom is a young adventurer named Light. Wanting to pull his family out of poverty, Light bids farewell to his hometown and sets out on a journey in search of wealth and strength. When he finally reaches the grand city, he's hit with the harsh reality of discrimination as people sneer at him just for being human. Still determined, he walks into the guild to register as an adventurer and is assigned an F rank since it's his first day. The receptionist asks if he has a special skill, and Light's face lights up as he proudly says yes, it's something called Unlimited Gacha. Curious, the girl asks him to explain it since she's never heard of such a thing before, but Light insists it'll be easier to show her in action. He pulls out his Gacha device and presses it, creating a card right before her eyes. Beaming with pride, Light explains that whatever's on the card can be summoned. But his excitement dies fast when he realizes the first card's just a damn bent fork. Embarrassed, he laughs it off, saying it's just a failure, and tries again. But instead of something useful, out pops even more worthless crap like a rotten apple and a piece of moldy bread. He insists it doesn't usually suck this bad, but she's already over it and just hands him his F-rank card without another word. So fired up, Light rushes to take his first quest. The receptionist points him toward the bulletin board, but the problem is that he can't read. In this world, that's not unusual since most humans barely know their letters. Thankfully, she helps him out and picks a few beginner jobs for him. They're all low-paying, but Light doesn't care because he's ready to work his ass off. And by the end of the day, he's completely drained. He's done several jobs back-to-back, and all that effort barely got him enough for a single night at an inn. Still, he tries to stay positive, saying that if his Gacha can spit out something edible, he'll manage just fine. Then out of nowhere, a group of beast folk thugs bump into him and start yelling like it's his fault for dirtying their clothes. Before he can explain, they snatch every coin he has, claiming it'll cover the laundry bill. Light pleads for them to give it back because without it, he won't even have a bed for the night. But they don't give a shit. One of them kicks him to the ground, telling him to go sleep in a pigsty, and they walk off laughing. The people around don't even lift a finger to help. Instead, they sneer and call him nothing more than worthless human garbage. Right then, a young woman lifts him up, yet Light notices she's an elf and he's taken aback. He frantically apologizes for making contact with her, but the woman reassures Light that she will not harm him. Light cannot grasp why an elf would show kindness to a human like him, and the woman even embraces him. Spectators are appalled to witness an elf merely touch a human, and Light is completely stunned. This elf girl soiled her knees just to hold him, so he questions if he's dreaming. The woman assures him that he's not, and the rest of her companions introduce themselves. They state that they are members of the Concord of Tribes. It's the title of their group that represents all 9 races created by the divinity. The beast folk names himself Garu, and the elf is Sasha. There is also Diablo the demon kin, Oboro the Omi folk, and Drago the dragonute. Then comes Nano the dwarf, Xian the dark elf, and Santoru the centaur. That makes 8 members, so the party reveals that all they need now is a human to complete the set. Light is left speechless, so they clarify that their aim as a group is an honorable one. They want to wipe out racism in the world and build a future where every race stands on equal ground. And they want him to be part of it, but Light cannot believe what he's hearing. So the group's leader steps forward and promises that they mean every word. And just like that, Light agrees to join them, heart full and eyes shining. Sometime later, Light finds himself under attack by enormous serpents, and he has to be saved by Drago. Another creature almost creeps up on him, but Sasha is there to kill it. She cautions Light to be more cautious and reminds him that they're in the largest and harshest dungeon in the world called the Abyss. If anything strikes him here, he will bite the dust immediately. Light apologizes, so Sasha explains that she's simply worried about him, and she examines him to ensure he isn't hurt. They've been traveling together for a while now, and the rest of the group starts teasing Sasha, calling her out for always babying him. They joke that she just can't help herself, that the second she's near Light, her face turns red and all her tough talk melts away. Sasha tries to say that she only does not want their group's reputation damaged by losing a member, but the others are not convinced. Light is feeling quite useless at this point, but Drywood tells him not to be concerned. He says that he enjoys the tea that Light prepares for them, so he's already contributing enough. Light feels relieved hearing this, and the group continues their journey through the Abyss. They reach an area with only a single way out, and Drago decides that this is the ideal place. Light thinks that it must be time for a rest, so he cheerfully tells everyone that he will prepare his well-known tea for them to enjoy. He says that it will just take a moment, but Drago immediately cuts him off and announces that Light is expelled from the party. Light cannot speak, so Drago repeats himself. Light remains completely confused, so Garu simply tells him that he's being thrown out of the group. Everyone's attitude has completely shifted as they all become harsh, and Garu says that he's worthless to them now. Even Sasha calls him a foolish child and says that he always irritated her. They even wonder aloud if his incompetence comes from the lack of brain cells or if it's simply a human trait. They all drop their act and reveal that they despise human trash like him. Light desperately hopes that it's a joke, but they tell him that they didn't come all the way into the abyss for some prank. Light points out that they were all so kind to him before, but they admit that it was all fake as they needed him in their group. It makes no sense to him, so Drago explains that the entire setup was because of Light's ability. This only confuses Light more because his Unlimited Gacha has always seemed worthless. Drago says that their leaders have been monitoring Light because of his odd ability, suspecting that he might be something called a maestro. The only reason they brought him into the Concord tribes was to watch him closely. Light argues that his Unlimited Gacha is a useless ability because it only produces piles of junk, but that does not matter to them. They already know his power is worthless and his stats are even worse. That is why the leaders have decided that Light is not the maestro, which means he's nothing but dead weight now. The others wish the higher-ups had decided sooner because they hated pretending to like him all this time. Light knows nothing about these leaders or the maestro, but Drago says he's heard enough. It won't matter anyway as Drago declares that it's time to finish the damn job. Horror crashes over Light as he realizes he's not just being thrown out of the party because finishing the job means they're going to finish his ass off. That's when it begins and Garu lunges forward, slicing across Light's face. His whole frame trembles as the brutal truth sinks in and he bolts in panic. But escape isn't an option as the group tells him there's no way out. He couldn't survive even a single beast in the abyss, so they tell him to just accept his fate. Sasha makes it clear there won't be a chance to run, firing an arrow that pierces through his damn leg. Garu admits how much pleasure he gets from hunting humans and Xian agrees, saying their freaking screams are like a sweet melody to her. Garu doesn't stop there and he kicks the shit out of Light. Drago tells him to cut it off, but Garu is eager to keep going, so Sasha reminds him they have to stick to the script. Their excuse is going to be that a monster from the abyss killed Light, so they can't leave behind wounds that say otherwise. Garu steps up to deliver the final blow, telling Light he's been a fun target to beat on, so the end won't be quick. Light crawls desperately across the ground, questioning how it all came to this shit. His hopelessness explodes and he shouts that he doesn't want to die, accidentally activating a teleport trap. Drago yells at Garu not to let the damn rats slip away, but it's already too late. A few seconds later, Light finds himself elsewhere in the dungeon, but the change in scenery brings no comfort. His injuries are severe. He knows the moment one of the creatures here finds him, he's done. All he can think about is his family, wondering what led to this. The others had treated him kindly, and he thought they were becoming like comrades after everything they'd shared. But reality is cruel, and the friendship was fake, and they took joy in breaking him. They were thrilled at the thought of watching him die, and they planned to do it with smirks on their faces. Light's heartbreak quickly burns into fury, and he now despises every single one of them, so he promises to wipe them out. That fury lights a fire in him, and his thirst for vengeance refuses to let him fall here. He swears they'll pay, and he'll tear them all to pieces and take his sweet revenge. But things only get worse as a creature shows up, and Light's eyes go wide as he sees its level 1000. That shouldn't exist because beasts like that belong in myths. That's when Light realizes the terrifying truth that he's been warped to the very bottom of the abyss itself. There's no freaking chance of escape as the monster closes in, but Light refuses to perish before claiming his vengeance. All Light has to even attempt to resist is his Unlimited Gacha, so he activates it. Light triggers his Unlimited Gacha again and again, silently begging for a miracle. He will not surrender because he must destroy those who betrayed him at any price and return to the family he treasures. And by fortune, Light's persistence succeeds and his Gacha blazes with dazzling brilliance like never before. The monster strikes, but it's already too late as Light's Gacha produces a new card. A voice proclaims that nothing shall harm its master, and a maiden manifests, completely obliterating the level 1000 creature. This mighty girl clears the wreckage she caused and astonishingly kneels before Light. She heals him and quickly apologizes for doing so without asking his permission first, saying it would be shameful if his handsome features and fair pearl skin were marred by such dreadful injuries. Light is amazed to hear her speak this way about him, and even more shocked to realize that she has healed every wound. The girl asks him to grace her with his name and his fine voice, so Light tells her who he is. The girl calls him Master Light and announces that she will devote her existence to serving him. It is the maid's oath of honor, and she vows her total loyalty to him without hesitation. Naturally, Light wants to know who this mysterious girl is, so she introduces herself as May, the ever-seeking maid, and her level is 9999. What stuns Light most isn't her power, it's that she's a super ultra rare card pulled from his supposedly useless Unlimited Gacha. But May goes on and on about her undying devotion, even saying she would follow him beyond death itself. Still overwhelmed, Light tries to explain that his Unlimited Gacha isn't anything special. There's just no way someone like her could have been summoned from such a useless skill. Mai kindly asks permission to inspect his Gacha using her appraisal ability, saying she'll only do so with his consent because it's the proper way for a servant to act, and Light agrees. As soon as she examines it, Mai is amazed. She reveals that Light's abilities are buried beneath a powerful concealment barrier known as Conceal, and no one below her level would ever be able to uncover it. Then she tells him that his unlimited Gacha is anything but trash. It allows for infinite draws, and the quality and rarity of what it produces depend on the mana levels in the surrounding area. She lists the rarity tiers from highest to lowest: extra, super ultra rare, triple S rare, double S rare, rare, normal, and at the bottom, error. Light doesn't fully understand the part about mana, so Mai breaks it down for him. She explains that mana is an invisible force that flows through everything in the world, but its concentration is weakest near the surface, which means the odds of pulling a super ultra rare like Mai up there are practically non-existent. But things are different down in this place. Right now, they're in the very depths of the dungeon, and the mana here is thick in the air. That means Light's chances of drawing rare cards improve dramatically at this depth. Mai has no idea what led him here, but she praises his courage for venturing this far below just to unlock the full strength of his unlimited Gacha. Light, however, refuses to pretend he's some kind of hero. He admits that he would have never made it this far on his own. He explains how his old allies turned on him, how they slashed him, beat the shit out of him, pierced him with an arrow, and left him for dead. As he speaks, the memories overwhelm him. Tears come, but so does the rage, and he swears that he won't rest until every single one of them pays the price. Without warning, Mai gently wraps her arms around him and apologizes for the torment he's endured. She assures him that now that he has her at his side, serving justice to those traitors will be effortless. She then begs Light to give her the order to hunt down the treacherous ones and bring back their heads on stakes as tribute. Light takes a step back, not giving an answer, so Mai assumes it's because he has too much compassion in his heart and tells him his enemies are beneath mercy. But Light replies that's not the issue. He trusted them and got tricked. He was beaten nearly to death and thrown to the bottom of this cursed place. And the real problem wasn't them, it was his own weakness, and that's why he's decided that he must grow stronger. He admits it might be impossible for a weak human like him, but he desires vengeance by his own hand. He then wonders aloud if Mai thinks he's being foolish, but she says she would never think that of him. Instead, she declares that his desire is hers, and if his goal is personal vengeance, then it's her duty to see it through. She says that she believes in what he can become more than anything in the world, so Light thanks her for her unwavering loyalty. With their resolve now aligned, Light rolls his unlimited Gacha once more in the depths of the abyss, vowing to master his ability to build a kingdom powerful enough to clear the way toward his vengeance. 3 years later, we find that Light has established a massive empire deep within the abyss itself. Standing before his gathered maids, he praises them for their efforts, telling them they all did great work today. They respond in unison, thanking their beloved master Light. Every single one of them is completely infatuated with him, whispering to each other that they must have spent all their life's luck just to be near him. One overly enthusiastic maid even goes as far as to wish she could get a sniff of his feet. Their obsession quickly gets out of hand, and Mai, clearly irritated, asks Light for permission to discipline them. But Light waves her off with a smile, saying it's fine or simply devoted to him, and he lets their behavior slide. Then we see the true scale of Light's empire, vast cities filled with bustling shops and countless citizens leading peaceful lives. Wherever he walks, people greet him warmly, calling out to Master Light and offering him their finest dishes. Even those who are running low on supplies approach him without fear, knowing their leader is kind and fair. Light reassures them that he'll alert the administration to fix any shortages, and Mai immediately takes charge, insisting on resolving every issue at once to ensure no one doubts the empire's stability. Light observes that the population has grown enormously over the past 3 years, and he realizes he might need to overhaul the entire governing structure soon. His next concern is the status of his elite warriors, each one is summoned from level 99 super ultra rare cards. Mai reports that they're all currently out on missions. Oyuki, for instance, is mapping the outer perimeter of the Abyss, a region crawling with dangerous creatures. But Light isn't worried because he's confident that a genius beast tamer like her can handle anything out there. Next is Ellie, who's been hard at work developing new forms of magic aligned with Light's grand vision. He knows he's given her a lot to handle and hopes she isn't pushing herself too hard to meet his expectations. Then there's Nazuna, who's patrolling the castle as usual. She specializes in close quarters combat, making her the ideal bodyguard. Mai admits Nazuna isn't exactly the sharpest mind in the group, but she's easily the most entertaining to be around. Back inside the castle, Mai grows annoyed to find someone waiting outside Light's chamber, and it's Jack, the level 77 warrior. Mai scolds him for being too casual and reminds him to show proper respect to Master Light. But Light dismisses her concern and tells her it's fine, and he doesn't mind because he always thinks of him as his big brother. The two men step outside for some serious training, and Light warns that today there will be no holding back. He declares the gloves are off and immediately opens with a lightning-fast punch straight into Jack's stomach. Jack stumbles back, clearly impressed, but laughs it off because after all, there's a reason they call him the Iron-Blooded Barricade. Light's hit would have taken out nearly anyone else, but Jack is built like a fortress. As their sparring session heats up, we cut to Nazuna making her rounds through the castle. She proudly informs the other maids that she's carrying out a direct assignment from Master Light, a critical patrol mission. The maids shower her with praise, saying they feel safer knowing someone like her is watching over them. Nazuna tries to remain modest, saying she's just doing her duty, even if her posture says otherwise. Not sure where to head next, Nazuna listens as the maids nervously mention a certain restricted zone they'd like her to check out. Turns out that area is none other than Light's bedroom, leaving Mai puzzled about why Nazuna's knocking there. Nazuna says she's simply planning to inspect the room, but Mai calmly tells her that Light's quarters are already tightly secured. But Nazuna hits back by pointing out that Light isn't even home right now, and more suspiciously, wonders what Mai is doing inside. Mai quickly claims she's just keeping busy, as all diligent maids should be, but Nazuna shrugs and lets herself in. Once inside, Nazuna begins to observe the surroundings. Something seems off. The bed is clearly ruffled, as if someone had been flopping around on it. Even stranger, there are impressions on the pillows like someone was lying down, kicking their legs and sniffing. Mai doesn't flinch and calmly says this is part of her specialized bed-making technique. She claims it's a top-secret method not to be shared. Nazuna, completely convinced, gasps in admiration. She praises Mai's incredible skills and says she truly deserves her position as Light's first-ever summon. But Nazuna didn't come empty-handed. She also delivers a message from the other maids. They're fed up with Mai monopolizing access to Light's room. The note says the maids demand fair cleaning rights, and that a formal petition has already been launched to remove Mai as head maid. They accuse her of tyranny and sign off the letter with a sharp "get wrecked." Nazuna offers to help however she can, but Mai politely declines, saying it's her job to handle this uprising herself. She thanks Nazuna for relaying the message and even slips her a tip, which leaves Nazuna beaming with joy. Nazuna immediately rushes off to splurge her reward money at a local vendor that just restocked with a fresh batch of irresistible treats. She refuses to waste her coin on anything average because what her stomach truly craves are those glorious milk and pancake sandwiches. With no hesitation, she shoves the snacks into her mouth, completely lost in flavor heaven, and that's when she stumbles upon Oyuki inside the castle. Confused, Nazuna asks why Oyuki is back so soon because she was supposed to be exploring the forest perimeter of the abyss. As always, Oyuki replies in a series of cat-like meows. Unfortunately for her, Nazuna doesn't speak meow the way Light does. Ever confident in her own brilliance, Nazuna attempts to interpret her cryptic words, but her guesses miss the mark entirely. First, she asks if Oyuki needs help chopping down trees to clear the scouting path, but the answer is clearly no. Then she wonders if Oyuki might run into some kind of monster that was too tough to handle, but that's not it either. Nazuna eventually acknowledges that while Oyuki was summoned before her, she still looks older and stronger. So with full confidence, she tells Oyuki that if she's ever in trouble, she should feel free to rely on her. Tired of the guessing game, Oyuki finally drops the act and speaks normally, explaining that she completed the mission without any issues. She didn't encounter a single threat and came back simply to deliver her portion of the completed map. Back inside the castle, Nazuna finishes up her patrol with pride, though she's a little down that she hasn't seen Master Light all day. After making sure she's alone, she sneaks over and climbs onto Light's grand throne. She reflects on how effortlessly cool he looks whenever he sits there, and quietly wishes he were here now. But her fantasy is abruptly shattered when she accidentally snaps off a small piece of the throne's angel wing. In full panic mode, she slaps the broken part back on, hoping it stays, then bolts from the room in a full sprint. Meanwhile, out near the training grounds, Light and Jack are still exchanging blows, but eventually agree to wrap up for the day. While catching their breath, Jack comments that Light has practically mastered the art of turning his entire body into a weapon. A Light as humble as ever credits Jack for being a great teacher. The intense sessions have transformed Light into a powerhouse, and Jack admits that there are only a handful of beings in the Abyss that could even stand a chance against him now. The Abyss is home to the most fearsome creatures on the planet, meaning that if so few can rival Light down here, even fewer can challenge him on the surface. But Jack isn't saying this to brag. He's reminding Light of an important truth. Stronger foes still exist out there. Light takes the warning to heart, and he knows the surface world is full of unknown dangers, and he vows never to grow complacent. He'll survive no matter what it takes because his mission for vengeance still isn't over. In another room, Mai gathers the maids for a meeting, but they all pretend they have no idea why she summoned them. Mai calmly recites every word of the message they sent her, including the final "get wrecked" line. Instantly, the group starts apologizing all at once. None of them know what to say, so they scramble for excuses. One of them claims they were just trying to help because Maya is always so overworked, and the others chime in saying their intentions were good. But none of that explains the last part of their note, and worst of all, they had the nerve to send Nazuna to deliver it instead of facing Mai directly. Their so-called unity crumbles in seconds as they start blaming each other. But Mai shuts it down and she firmly rejects their request to be allowed inside Light's room. Instead, she assigns them a different task, cleaning the corridor that leads to the throne chamber. And just to drive the point home, she orders them to scrub it all manually, without magic or shortcuts. The hallway is ridiculously long and the maids groan that it'll take forever. But Mai doesn't budge, and she reminds them that she'll be heading to the surface soon on a special mission for Master Light, so she expects them to keep everything spotless while she's away. Meanwhile, in the market, Nazuna stares dreamily at a sleek-looking weapon on display, muttering that she wishes she could buy something that cool. Ellie suddenly shows up behind her, surprised to find her hanging around the shop. Thinking Nazuna's probably there for sweets again, she's surprised to hear that Nazuna's just admiring a pair of battle gloves. Nazuna thought Ellie would be off doing field work or overseeing repairs like usual, but Ellie casually says she's on break today, and everything's running so smoothly she actually has free time for once. Ellie suspects Nazuna's even more scatterbrained than usual, but Nazuna tries to prove her sharpness by proudly reciting multiplication facts, only to mess up right away. Ellie bursts out laughing, mocking her, and the two start bickering. Ellie smugly points out that Light trusts her with high-level tasks, crucial to his master plan for revenge, unlike Nazuna and her adorably tiny brain. Nazuna claps back, saying her patrols are important too, but Ellie waves it off as nothing special. Then Ellie reveals she just had tea with Light to discuss strategic matters. She taunts Nazuna, saying next time she might even reserve a private room for their meeting. Nazuna instantly gets jealous, not over the conversation, but the tea. She desperately wants to have tea with Light too. Ellie can't believe that's what upset her, but Nazuna just blinks confused because she doesn't see what else there is to be jealous about. So Ellie says there's something even more jealousy-worthy, something that should really light a fire on her. But Nazuna misreads the moment entirely, and she assumes Ellie's talking about magic and immediately offers her support, thinking Ellie might be worried about not being able to fight without spells one day, and she promises to protect her if that ever happens. Left speechless, Ellie just sighs and says sure, she'll take her up on it. Nazuna skips off, happy as ever, ready to resume her patrol. Ellie watches her go, thinking to herself that there really is no one else quite like Nazuna. Elsewhere in the castle, the four maids gripe about how they ended up in trouble despite having what they believe was a perfectly valid complaint about their supervisor. The problem is that she is the supervisor and Mai is practically untouchable. Powerless to act against her, they all sulk, dreaming about how nice it would have been to be the ones cleaning Master Light's room. The conversation quickly derails as one of them says she'd bury her entire face in his bedsheets just to catch his scent. As usual, the girl who always takes things too far goes way over the edge, saying she wants to lick every utensil he's ever used. The others immediately call her a freaking freak, but after a moment of hesitation, they all sheepishly admit they'd probably do the same. Their thoughts wander to Mai's seniority because after all, she was the very first one Light summoned. It wasn't until 3 months later that Oyuki appeared, and they can't stop imagining what might have happened between Light and Mai during that time, and their imaginations spiral out of control. Light is pure, innocent, and sometimes completely clueless, and the idea of a young boy and girl being alone together in a death trap of a dungeon makes them sick with envy. They feel so jealous, they wish they could channel that emotion into an actual curse to put on Mai. They try, but all freeze in horror when Mai suddenly appears behind them. They had all assumed she'd already left from her surface mission, but apparently not. Mai tells them she caught wind of them chanting "die" repeatedly, and has come for an explanation. Instantly, the girls change their tone, pretending to be nothing but loyal underlings, but Mai isn't fooled in the slightest. Eventually, they confess, admitting their envy got the better of them. What they really resent is the fact that Mai got to spend so much one-on-one time with Light. Light tells them she has no obligation to share what happened during those 3 months, but since she's feeling charitable, she'll humor them. She reveals that during that time, Light didn't spend a single moment doing anything remotely romantic or questionable. He buried himself in study, devouring every book he could find and practicing martial arts non-stop because he was entirely consumed by his goal of growing stronger. As for all the depraved fantasies the maids cooked up, none of them came even remotely true. Mai admits that lately she'd been feeling like she might have been too strict, that maybe her leadership had been a little unreasonable. She was even considering lightening their workload. But now, after hearing what they were plotting, she realizes she was way too lenient. Not only will they be scrubbing the hallways by hand, but she's adding the throne room to their task list as well. The girls groan in despair, realizing that will take an eternity, but Mai coldly remarks that given how much time they spent badmouthing her, they clearly have plenty to spare. Her tone shifts from casual to commanding as she tells them to acknowledge the order immediately. The maids have no choice but to salute and get to work, grumbling as they go. But just as they begin cleaning, disaster strikes. The broken angel wing on Light's throne, previously reattached in a panic by Nizuna, snaps off and hits the floor. Inside her room, Nizuna stretches out with a sigh of relief, proud to have completed another day of keeping the peace. Still, there's a lingering disappointment in her chest because she didn't get to see Light at all. More than anything, she wishes he'd finally give her the order she's been waiting for. She wants to be sent to the surface so she can destroy everyone who dared to betray him. She eventually calmed down, hoping she could see him the next morning, and fell asleep with that wish in her heart. The following day, Light steps outside the castle and finds the usual scene, Ellie and Nizuna locked in another argument. Nizuna lights up the moment she spots him, thrilled that her wish came true and she gets to see Master Light again. As always, Light can't help but treat Oyuki like a cat, and the other girls quickly become jealous of the attention. But the peaceful moment is shattered when a familiar beast shows up, one that looks exactly like the hellhound Light first faced when he fell into the abyss. Even now, Light feels his body tense up at the sight of it, haunted by the fear from that day. But things were different now because he had powerful warriors by his side, and they were ready to fight without hesitation. Nizuna drops her usual airheaded tone, filled with rage that a lowly training mutt would dare show its face in front of Light. Ellie's furious too, ready to punish the creature for its arrogance. Oyuki is equally disgusted. Just the hound's presence is disturbing Light's peace, and she promises to wipe out their entire breed if needed. They make it clear that they're about to unleash the overwhelming force of their level 99 strength. But before they can make a move, Light gently steps in and tells them it's alright. His voice alone is enough to make them stop instantly. He reassures them that he's fine now. Surprisingly, Light even apologizes to the beast for scaring it. In the back of his mind, he knows that if he ever gave the word, his girls would wipe the hellhounds from existence. Then Light gets to the reason he gathered them. He informs them that Maya's returned and her mission was a success, which means it's time. Their target has fallen right into the trap, and now they move to phase 2. The girls are a bit annoyed that May got to take the lead, but they're just as fired up knowing they're finally moving forward. Light turns and leads them forward, declaring that the first dish of his long-awaited revenge is finally ready to be served. Far away in the City of Wolves, one of Light's targets, Garou, strolls through the streets. The people cheer for him like he's a hero, blissfully unaware that vengeance is already on its way. This was the end of episode 2. Subscribe to not miss the next episode.